Start by stating your name and your position here at A-State, including your major.
So my name is Anthony Sumlin. I'm a sophomore here. I'm a double major biology and chemistry.
All right. And you're representing
The Young Democrats of Arkansas.
Young Democrats of Arkansas. Okay. Um, One of the things that I would like to ask you is, right off, what's your opinion about this new law here on campus? What do you feel about the concealed carry? How do you feel?
So I'm not a fan just because as a student, not knowing everyone on campus, I can't know everyone's mindset. And it makes me uncomfortable to think that maybe someone who has a different opinion than me or different feelings than me that could harm me is able to carry a weapon.
All right. One of the ideas that has been asked, though, or been mentioned, is this idea of kind of turning students, and I guess in some case faculty as well, into these silent guardians. We don't know where they are, but they're always there defending people like you and me. How do you feel? What do you feel about that kind of sentiment?
I feel like that's a lot of responsibility to put on a faculty member. They already have to worry about grading and their students and research they may be conducting on campus, and then, of course, their home life. And then to charge them with this new responsibility of protecting students. And there are a lot of times when altercations occur and you don't know who the right party is, or there really is no right party. So to charge a faculty member with being able to walk up, deduce the danger, and then respond to it all in a short amount of time with really, I don't see any way there would be enough training is kind of unreasonable.
Right. Does that apply to elementaries and other public schools, as President Trump stated about arming teachers in the public schools? Does that apply to them as well?
I feel like more so because in those situations, the teacher is with that student for an extended amount of time. There's a more personal relationship, and I don't think it's as important that you realize the significance a teacher can play in your life. You know, like when you're in elementary school, no one tells you, hey, you might need this person to write you a letter of recommendation, so do right by them. You know, I'm sure we all have stories of when a student acts out and the teacher gets a little annoyed, but their response, I feel like, has to be more reserved when they have a weapon than when it's just, hey, let me yell at you for a couple seconds and get this anger out.
All right. One of the ideas that I've discovered when interviewing some of the faculty members is they feel like they were ignored, that the state government made this decision without concerning them. How do you feel, or do you feel that that kind of mentality is justified?
Absolutely. I feel like educators in general are ignored. They're underpaid and overworked and continuously given more responsibility. Every time that something goes wrong, a state test isn't high enough, they're the first people that get blamed. It is our government's responsibility to look out for them first, I think, as the people responsible for educating our future, and they don't. They are very often ignored, so I definitely think it's justified.
One of the things that I would like to ask is, when it comes to preparing these people for it, obviously they have to take or they have to already get through the concealed carry training course, and then of course they have to get through 8 hours of more training. Do you feel that that's enough to prepare a person?
I don't. I don't think 8 hours is any amount of time to put people in high stress situations, force them to respond. I don't think it's enough time to go over that response. I don't think it's enough time to establish a relationship to where I can say, you know, within a pretty reasonable degree of doubt, you are responsible enough to have a gun and to be able to use this gun and carry this gun around a campus or around students, around just other people in general.
Okay. Um, one of our points that we're trying to make is that we want to get the student opinion aspect of it, and one of the things I feel is like, how do you feel? Do you feel that there are better solutions to the problem than just allowing concealed carry on campus?
Absolutely. I think when we have these mass shootings, those are opportunities for concealed carry. No one comes into school with a gun in their hand and is let through the door. So I think the response should not be, oh, well, let's give more people guns to hide on themselves. Personally, I feel like we should do more with educating teachers on how to spot mental health issues and just really getting rid of that stigma that mental health is something to be ashamed of. There are genetic factors that affect it. There are just things that are far out of our control, And if we are unable to address that, then we'll never be able to find a solution to this problem.
All right. So obviously, this is going off what I've been hearing from both parties, both you and Dominique. You feel that mental health is a extreme concern here. President Trump has mentioned as well about mental health being a huge problem here in the United States. Um, how do you feel that this could be helped? How could we help scan for mental health, especially here on campus?
Well, I feel like mental health, much like physical health, is dynamic and it changes from day to day. There are days we feel good. There are days we feel bad. I think there just needs to be a way for those days we feel bad that there is someone there for us to talk to, and ensuring that maybe that person, if that person isn't in your immediate circle, that they are available for you in your school or in your workplace.
Right. I've been hearing this kind of from this interview. I've been getting this idea of maybe less personal responsibility to oneself, defending oneself and those around them physically, and more this idea of being an emotional support. Um, how do you feel like there's a general lack of that here? Do you feel that there, or not necessarily here, but in general in the United States, do you feel that we need more, I guess, brotherhood, so to speak?
Absolutely. I think there's this lack of community. Everyone is so focused on progressing their lives and providing for themselves and for their family, which is important, but it's also important that we understand that we are all in this together, in the words of High School Musical, so we need to be there for each other. We need to be an ear for each other and just support each other, uplift each other when we're down.
All right. One of the things that I've noticed, and this is in light of the 20th anniversary of the West Side shooting and the most recent shooting in Parkland, do you feel that we have made progress since West Side over the last 20 years? Do you feel that there's been any progress made?
I would love to say yes, but I just feel like we haven't. I feel like it's very much a cycle at this point of school shooting, send thoughts and prayers, oh, we should do something about gun control, school shooting. Until there's real action, until someone stands up and says, you know what, I'm sick of this cycle and we have to get out of it, I think it's just going to continue to occur.
All right. Now you mentioned that your party and you yourself feel that it's a mental health problem. Do you feel that there's any need for gun legislation at this point?
Absolutely. I think the access to guns is kind of scary just because it is so easy to go online, go to, I think they said Dick's, just stop selling automatic rifles. So to be able to just go to the store and say, hey, I want to buy a gun, hey, I feel like getting a weapon today, and that being an option is a little nerve wracking. I would love to see something where there is more verification required and some explanation of why it is that you feel you need an automatic weapon, why you feel that you need a handgun. Like, I know in some places hunting is very prevalent, so I would understand you going in a woody area and saying, hey, I want to buy a shotgun, I want to go hunt. But I don't understand you living in New York and saying, hey, I need a shotgun. Maybe I would just feel like there would need to be some explanation, some logical reason for you to purchase a weapon.
Um, One of the things that I think a lot of people are afraid of is this idea of infringing on a person's rights, obviously. Um, and one professor did discuss, in his opinion, about this line and about how neither party wants to try and decide where the line is. Do you think that this is something that needs to be? Do you think this is like one party's responsibility, or do you feel like this is something that there needs to be an open channel of communication for?
At this point, it's definitely a bipartisan issue. I think it was always a bipartisan issue, but I think more so now because there is no way for you to avoid it. There's no way for you to say, hey, the Republicans are wrong, or hey, the Democrats are wrong. It's just, hey, we were wrong, and now we need to correct this, because if we don't, it's only going to get worse. We're seeing just more frequently nowadays the mass shootings and this mass terror and this fear of going outside, and that needs to be addressed and needs to be addressed soon. And the whole issue of, well, we wanted to do it a certain way and they wanted to do it a certain way needs to be thrown out of the window. And you as politicians, as human beings, need to sit down and really have a true discussion about how to improve the state of this country.
I see. Let me think if I could think of something one more thing. Oh, if you wanted to say something to everybody, what would you want to say to them as both a representative of your party and from your own perspective?
In my perspective, I'll just go back to the whole we need to support each other. We're really living in this time where we can do something great or we can sit back and do nothing. And it's really important that we choose to do the former.